Yeah, I agree with the trade. Finally, that trade is gone. You remember the great the guy who really was supposed to be great from that trade was Setaguchi.
Yes, Devin
Setaguchi.
Setaguchi. Oh my God!
So that trade is finally gone. It was one of Fletcher's finest. Was that a Fletcher trade, or was that the guy before him that I couldn't stand?
I think it might have been the guy before him. Hold on, let me check.
Oh, he's from. He was with Montreal. He was with the big Montreal guy. He just totally failed here as a GM.
So it was
a Fletcher trade.
It was right now. It's Fenton, and then it was Fletcher. And then it was Doug Risberg.
Yes. I don't think that was a Riseborough trade. He wasn't smart enough to try something like that.
He was done in 2009.
It's gone. It's over. It's unfortunate because we heard about his size and big strong guy, and he was going to put the puck in the net, and it just never happened here.
Never happened.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was a case of, again, he didn't have line mates that were any good around him, which is probably the biggest problem that team has, or is it a case where he is soft? He's supposed to be the nicest guy in the world. Of course, everyone is after they leave here.
Right.
We got to hear about how great they were.
I'm getting sick of that,
man. Yeah, everyone. Yeah, I know.
I mean, look, Dave.
I agree with you.
10 goals this year, 11 goals last year, 18 in 2016. His best year was 2015, where he had 21 goals, and then 11, and then 12. I mean, that's just not. It's not good enough.
Like, when I die someday, people are going to say, "Yeah, Dave was a great guy, positive, funny, all this stuff." That's what people say after someone leaves.
Yeah.
So, but it had to happen. At least they got someone younger. We don't know. Maybe the Greenway Magic. That's a good idea on Fenton's part.
I actually kind of like the trade, to be honest with you, getting Donato back, a young kid.
That's what they have to do. They're going to have to get young guys that haven't done any, proven themselves, because they're not going to get anything for these people.
No, you're not.
I mean, it's just Charlie Coyle's a risk for Boston. He just did nothing here with what he showed us with some ability and some size. He didn't do anything here. He can be buried in Boston and probably do well.
Yeah, 1,000% correct. And this is, I want to talk a little about the struggles of these wingers. Do you think, and I'll go back to football real quick, it's like, Blair Walsh, yeah, he was horrible, but then the next guy, Forbath, would miss extra points, and then now Dan Bailey and then Carlson. It's like, when does it become a special teams coach problem or maybe a placeholder? So in hockey, when does it become maybe just a team problem? Like Nino leaves and starts scoring. Brett Burns leaves and starts scoring. There's no doubt in my mind that Charlie Coyle is going to find his stride in Boston now.
Well, yeah, it's possible, but I think the biggest thing is, to me personally, I think it always just comes down to talent. I mean, if you have talent, you can get away certain games in hockey.
100%.
Getting points and scoring. I don't think the Wild. I mean, I've even heard Micheletti talk about this. The Wild they're not strong up. They're not strong in the middle.
No,
their
centers. No, yep.
No, their centers are not that great, and that's probably really very important position, obviously in hockey. But the Wild have never had strong centers here. Koivu is not, Mr. Score, Mr. Assist machine. And then you go down the line with the other guys like Granlund. I mean, it's just the same thing. I don't know if it's a finish thing or
I don't know. I like Granlund. He just gets into these phases where he just can't shoot.
Yeah, he's an oddball too. I think they need to try to get rid of him in the off season. If not now, I think get something for him because he's got to go too. I mean, he just hasn't panned out here, and he might bring something. I don't know.
And you talk about just weak centers up the board. I don't know what's happened to Eric Stahl. I mean, he had a resurgence here last year. He's been awful. I mean, Mikael Granlund's been inconsistent. Joel Eriksson-Ek has actually been a bright spot on this team. And then Eric Fair. I mean, those four centers, that's just not going to get you anywhere. And this is my next question, Dave. I know we keep having the conversation, can the Wild string together a few wins and a lot of, Wild positive, and you probably hate these people, the Wild positive fans sit and tell me, well, Steve, they always go through these types of bumps in the road. Why does this one, and they're kind of right, because the last few years they have gotten into those. Remember when we got Hansel a few years ago, they got into that horrible, horrible slump and going into the playoffs. And that's usually a wild tradition going back to Mike Yo. Why does this one feel different than every other one? And does this team, do you think, make the playoffs?
No, first of all, I got a little twinge in my side when you said Hansel.
Oh, that was him and White.
Wow, oh God, White. Anyway, let's move on from that. No, it has a different vibe this year. First of all, as soon as they lost Dumba, you knew they were going to be in big trouble.
100%.
Koivu, and now Koivu's gone. You can kind of see his little importance at least.
He is important.
The middle, with the center, face-offs, all that stuff. You know what? With those two out in the vibe now this year, with Nino was a great clubhouse guy. Now he's gone. They're probably sour on that. I mean, you can tell. To me, you don't score any goals at home in 2 home games.
Brutal
in the NHL. These guys are purposely probably playing shitty because they don't want all these scouts to see them, and they don't want to leave or they don't want to get traded probably because it's going to uproot their lives and change their lives. That's my theory, and I don't think that. No, they're not making the playoffs. There's absolutely no way because I'm assuming a couple more guys are going to go, and they're going. The team's just going to lose. They're not going to care anymore. I don't think they care now.
Well, listen to this.
Care even less.
With a Wild win tonight against the Rangers, they sit at 27-27. They win that, they'll be 28-27 and second in the wild card. I think
a couple of the teams behind them might be hungry, a lot more hungry.
Chicago
has probably got more talent. They've got the big guns, and then they're getting Crawford back soon here. But somebody like even Arizona out here.
Yeah, they've been a surprise.
Come on, watch the game. They got 7 straight home games coming up, and they probably are hungry to get some fans and prove something. So they're probably going to be a chance to get in there. They're going to be hungrier in the Wild. I think the Wild are dead, and I think
I do too.
I think the final coffin was the other night when they lost. To Anaheim 4-0. That is just total embarrassment.
I'll be honest with you, Dave. I thought it started when they lost to the Devils. I thought when they were up 4-1 and they came back and they won 5-4, that was a dagger for me. That was like, okay, this team, they just don't have it this year. They just don't have it this year. And what's funny about this, Dave, is the Western Conference is so bad. If the Wild actually played half decent this month, they would be up in the playoffs by like 8 points. They probably would have clinched by now. How bad the West has been, but they have just been abysmal. But let's move on here. Let's go to little Kirk Cousins. And it started with Kirk and Dave early where they clashed. And Kirk made the tweet that he had to get his garage heated. And I think it was maybe the end of September. It was getting a little nippy for him. Now he's going on Twitter. And he's saying, and this is a quote, "In 2010, I was mad at LeBron James for leaving Cleveland. But I've been in Miami for a total of 5 minutes, and now I totally understand. And the backlash of that, Minnesota fans were all over him." Dave, you have the floor.
Well, this is what happens when one lives in Minnesota for any extended short time and is not used to it, or a long time. When you leave here in the winter to go somewhere where the sun actually comes out for more than an hour, you think you are in heaven. Okay, and obviously Dippy Kirk here, who's been in dreary Minnesota since, probably started hitting him in the fall when he came out with that tweet about his garage. But when you finally get out of here and see the sun, I don't care where you are, if it's Arizona, Miami. Phoenix, it's a vacation spot. There's a lot of things going on down here this time of year. Same thing with Miami. When you go from 0 degrees to 70 degrees in 3 hours on an airplane, everyone feels good.
Right.
So shut up, Kirk. First of all, you've got enough money. Get a home down there. Why do you even just go move? Why is he even up here in the off season?
I don't know either. Yeah. That was something that we both kind of discussed. Like, why are you here?
Yeah, quit it. Okay. Oh, wow. You make what's he make? $30 million a year? And he's bragging about being on a week trip with his family down to Disneyland or World or whatever. What a loser. Just get a home down there, dude. Get one on the beach. You should be down there full time. Come back for Viking things. You fly. You can afford it. and you go back down, and then you come back up here in the spring when football starts again. What a nerd this guy is.
All right, let's move. Let's stick on Twitter because there's been some Viking players on here a lot, and I think you might know the next one that I'm going to mention.
Yeah.
How about Xavier Rhodes, who's gotten a big mouth over here over this last offseason? What are your thoughts on him? A little trade rumors that maybe he can be gone, and he claps back at Paul Allen and says, "For who? Who are you going to trade me for?" What are your thoughts on Xavier Rhodes' little Twitter rant these last couple weeks?
Well, that's why I exist on Twitter, because I love ripping these guys, these idiots, these millionaires who come out and he had a tweet, was it 2 weeks ago or a week ago, where he's like, "What makes a good defense?"
A good cornerback.
And I shot back at him, one that is healthy. I mean, when you're coming off a bad year and you are making the big bucks, don't go on Twitter. Twitter's for losers like me to make fun of people, okay? I mean, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
The majority of people are sour in this world. We don't make, $5-6 million a year to play football 6 months a year, okay? So it's like, shut up. And let's get on to my next sore subject, Adam Thielen.
All right, this is where you're going to lose me here, Dave. What do you complain about Thielen about?
Okay. All right. Adam Thielen was having a great year.
He had a great year.
He had a great year. Not the last 4 weeks, or was it 5 weeks?
He was playing hurt.
In New England. All right. Oh, come on. The whole team, everyone's hurt.
Well, I mean,
New England,
he played hurt.
Belichick, as usual, figures out a way to shut down our receivers and take Thielen out of the game. He was gone the rest of the year. He had that thing where he claimed he had that fight on the sidelines with our guy Cousins, Miami guy. You just throw me the ball. I'm open all the time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine, whatever. They had the fight. Everyone saw it. But be honest with me, Adam kind of disappeared the last 3-4 games of the season.
Look, he did.
He was nothing.
But Dave, he had 113 catches for he almost got close to 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. I know that he had a calf injury that was hurting him, and he played through it. Look, I can't sit here and rip Thielen for his year, Dave. I can't. And okay. I think you're going to talk about his contract.
I can't either.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is the guy signed this contract in 2017. He's going to make $8 million this year. This team's got a lot of other holes. Okay, they're going to have to spend some money on that line so they can get him the frickin' ball so he can make more money.
I agree with that.
Just shut up. Finish out your contract and then worry about it. But don't come out after we finish and we don't even make the playoffs. We look like Gopher last half the season. He does nothing the last half of the season.
We're going in and out here, Dave. I don't know if it's the signal. But,
okay.
Yeah, I think you're saying that he's getting paid a pretty decent amount. I'm looking at his contract right now. Look, we're getting him at $5 million. It says right now he's due $5 million in 2019 and $5 million in 2020. That is a steal, my friend. They've got to restructure it to something a little better than that because we're getting away with murder with paying him that little. And I get it. Like, you want to build around the team, but Thielen's a big part of this team. And I think he said in an article that he's not going to hold out. He's not Odell Beckham like out here, who I just can't stand. He's not going to cause a distraction. But I think he does deserve, he's got to get a little more money than that, no?
The thing about Thielen is, yes, he had a great year. He's probably a top 5, top 10 for sure receiver in the league based off of last year.
Yep.
But what's wrong with $5 million a year here? Where should he be at? What's the best receiver in the league, Nick?
AB. So Antonio Brown. Well, he's going to get traded now.
I mean, what I'm saying is this isn't the time. I just think he needs.
AB makes $12 million a year.
Okay.
That's a lot.
I just don't like it. I don't think it's real team-oriented that he's out complaining about that based off of last year. He's still got a little more to prove to me. Like I said, he disappeared the last few games of the year when we really needed the big boys to step up, and he didn't. Now, whether that's his fault or not, I don't know, but he can live off of $5 million. And you know what? Have another good year. And then maybe go back and see what happens. But he just signed that contract in 2017. So I got a problem with that.
All right, Dave. All right. Well, that was Negative Dave, and he was really feisty today. Really good segment today. We will talk to him next week. And listen, we're probably going to see some moving and changing here with the Minnesota Wild. We weren't going to get into the Gophers today because the game is tonight. We're recording on a Thursday, so we didn't want to get a little outdated. But a big one for Patino tonight, huh, Dave?
Oh, yes. By the way,
yes,
I'm predicting a win. I'm
really
positive. Yes.